This is Julie Wise from the English department, and I'll be speaking today about a teaching strategy I call the Great Debate. I use this strategy to achieve several objectives. First of all, it invites students to work with each other in a collaborative way. It also helps them to practice important skills as readers and writers, such as developing an argument about a text or a passage from a text, supporting that argument with specific evidence and careful reasoning, as well as communicating and defending the argument persuasively. This activity can often take most of a class period, especially in a 50-minute class. It will usually require at least 30 minutes or so. I begin the activity with a brief introduction, wherein I introduce a passage of text or an idea from a text that is subject to interpretation. I then divide the class into 3 groups, 2 groups of debaters and 1 group of judges. Next, I assign each group their tasks. For the debaters, each group must define and support a position on the text. For judges, this group will decide which position is most persuasive. I also explain the format and rules of the debate. I'll come back to these rules again in a moment. In brief, each group will have a chance to state its position, then respond to the other group's position, then offer a concluding argument, after which the judges will deliberate and offer a conclusion. Once students are in their groups, I give them time to prepare for the debate, anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes or so. This preparation gives debaters time to prepare their arguments. They'll define a position, explain its reasoning, support this position with specific examples from the text, anticipate the other group's argument, and determine who will argue before the judges. This preparation also gives judges this time to anticipate the arguments each debate group will make. Once they've had time to prepare, we move into the debate itself, which can run around 15 minutes or so, depending on how much students have to say. For the actual debate, I make sure each group is facing the panel of judges. Doing so helps them to see that their audience is each other and not me. Once the debate itself begins, each group presents its position. Each group offers its formal response to the other group. Each group offers a closing argument, and finally the judges deliberate and offer their conclusions. Here are some examples of debates my students have staged. After reading A Doll's House in my 100-level composition and literature course, students debate whether the play's main character, Nora, makes a smart decision when she leaves her family. Ibsen, in fact, had to rewrite this ending after the play's initial premiere, since it angered audiences so much. And the text gives good reason to argue that it's a destructive move. Yet it also makes a good case for why this character finds it necessary to slam the door on her husband at the play's conclusion. Therefore, students have to do some hunting in the text to find evidence to support each position. While reading Never Let Me Go in my 400-level British novel course, students debate whether it makes a difference that the narrator is in fact a clone. If you haven't read the book, I'm sorry to give away that plot point, but it's still a terrific book, so check it out. The book raises important questions about what makes each of us human and original, and how a literary form like the novel can or cannot convey originality. And these are the kinds of questions that students will debate. The last time I used this lesson with this novel, the students ended up having a heated discussion, which led to a couple of very smart essays on the novel. Here are some ground rules I found helpful for staging in-class debates. Make sure only one person speaks at a time, and make sure students know that only one person speaks at a time. Make sure each group waits its turn to speak. It can be helpful to assign specific roles within each group, like speaker, scribe, or investigator, to ensure everyone's participation. This activity can also be a nice way to empower the quiet students, the listeners, by having them serve as judges. I found that they usually take this role seriously. Time permitting, I like to have some time at the end of class, after a debate, for a short wrap-up where I can share observations about the debate, calling attention to the strength of students' arguments or suggesting other ideas that they might consider. I also like to remind students of the skills that they've practiced, including critical reading, planning, organizing, and communicating. I've largely defined and refined this activity on my own over the years, but there are 2 good chapters on debate as an in-class activity in this book, The Pocket Instructor, which has a lot of other wonderful ideas for in-class exercises. It's definitely worth a peek. That's all I have for you about in-class debates. I found it to be a reliable in-class activity, one that gets students involved and active in their learning. Thank you very much for your time.